Hi guys, today we are going to learn about the sine and cosine rule. To solve a triangle is to find the length of each sides and all its angle. The sine rule is used when we are given either two angles of one side or two sides of a non-included angle. So when we use the cosine rule, we are given either three sides or two sides and the included angle. The sine rule can be used in any triangle, not just right angle triangles, where a side and its opposite angle are known. In order to find the length of a side, you need to use the version of the sine rule where the length are on the top, which is A over sine A and B over sine B. So you will ever need two parts of the sine rule formula, not all three, and you will need to know at least one pair of a side with its opposite angle to use the sine rule. The law of a sine rule is an important rule relating to the sides and the angle of any triangle. It doesn't have to be a right angle triangle. If A, B and C are the length of sides of opposite triangle, so A, B and C in triangle, then A equal to B and C. Sine A is equals to sine B equals to sine C. So you will only ever need two parts of the sine rule formula, not all three. You will need to know at least one pair of a side which its opposite angle to use the sine rule. So let B stands for the angle and at B, let C stand for the angle at C, and so on. Also, let B is equals to AC and A is equals to BC and C is equals to AB. So in this example, we are going to find the sides. So work out the length of X in the diagram below. So as a first step, we are going to start writing out the sine rule formula by defining the sides. So in step 2, fill in the values you know, the unknown length. Remember that to each fraction in the sine rule formula should contain a side and its opposite angle. So at step 3, we will be solving the resulting equation to find the unknown side, giving your answer to three significant figures. Note that you should try and keep full accuracy until end of the calculation to avoid errors. In this example, we are going to calculate the finding angles. So if you need to find the size of an angle, you need to use the version of the sine rule where the angles are on the top as a numerator. As before, you will only need two parts of the sine rule, and you still need at least one side of its opposite angle. In order to work out the angle M in this diagram, the first step, we are going to start by writing out the sine rule formula for finding angles. So as I mentioned earlier, we will be putting the angles on the numerator. So our second step, fill in the values you know in the unknown angle. Remember that each fraction in the sine rule formula should contain a side and its opposite angle. As a third step, we will be going to solve the resulting equation to find the sine of the unknown angle. So sine m, which is the angle, will be as a numerator over the opposite length 8 as the denominator. So it's equals to sine 75 as the numerator and the opposite length will be 10. So as a step 4, we will be using the inverse sine function to calculate the angle. As a other note, you may also aware that sometimes sine rule questions can have two solutions only when you are finding angles. So you do not need to know about these additional solutions at this time, but you will learn more about it next year. In this example, we have given two angles on one side, and so the sine rule can be used. Furthermore, since the angles in any triangle must add up to 180, so the angle A must be 113. we know that C is AB is equals to 9. So using the sine rule, A numerator will be over the angle sine 113 and B as the numerator and the denominator will be sine 21 and numerator will be 9 and the denominator sine 46. So since we are just going to take two sides, so we're using the sine rule, see we are going to calculate the length of B and A. So the calculation are shown here. So we are encouraged to use the cross multiplication. So the marks are actually given for the working in IGCSE. So you have to show the detailed working step. So in order for you to calculate the B, the length, so you'll be multiplying sine 21 with 9 and over sine 46. And for you to calculate the length of A, so it's equivalent to 9 over sine 46. So when you do the cross multiplication, 9 sine 113 as a numerator and you're dividing it with sine 46. In this example, we are going to calculate cosine rule. The cosine rule can be used in any triangle where you are trying to relate all three sides of an angle. So if you need to calculate the length of a side, you need to know the other two sides of the opposite angle. So you need to use the version of the cosine rule where a equals to a power of 2 is the subject of the formula. If b power of 2 is the subject of the formula, you could see another formula, a square plus c square minus 2ac cos b. If let's say c power of 2, the formula will be a square plus b square minus 2ab cos c. Side A is the one you are trying to find. Side B and C are the other two sides, and angle A is the opposite sides of A. In this example, we are going to work out the length of x in the diagram shown here. So as a first step, we are going to start by writing out the cosine rule formula by finding the sides. So as a step 2, fill in the values that we know and the unknown length. It doesn't matter which way around you put the side B and C. It will work out in both ways. So as a step 3, evaluate the right hand side and the square root to find the length. So we are going to substitute the value in order for you to get the x value. So 22 square, you add on with 28 square. So you minus subtract with the same value, which is 2 with 28 and 22, which is cos 97. As with the sine rule, you should try to keep accuracy until the end of your calculation in order for you to avoid the errors. In order for you to calculate the angles, if you need to find the size of the angle, you need to use the version of the cosine rule where the cos A is one of the left. It is very important to get the terms on the top in the correct order. B and C and either side of the angle which you are trying to find. This can be either way around, but side A must be the side opposite angle A. So in order for you to calculate the angle here, angle of P, so the first step will be writing out the cosine rule formula for you to calculate the angle. So as a step 2, we will fill in the values that we know and the unknown length, which is 5, 7 and 8. So over 2 multiply with 5 with the 8. So remember to make sure that the terms on the top of the fractions are in the correct order. So as a step 3, for you to evaluate the right hand side and then use the inverse cosine for you to calculate the angle. So in another note, if you know two sides and an angle which is not between them, so you can use the cosine rule to find the other side, but it is easier for you to use the sine rule in this situation. So you should always use the sine rule if you have an angle on its opposite sides.